Creepers and Geekers, Chris the Atari Creep. How's everyone doing today? Happy Friday to each and every one of you. If Friday actually means something to you personally. And let me apologize for the style of having to produce this video. Again, OBS is still not jiving here on the old MacBook Air. So we're just going to have to go old school until we can find a pass-through, a workaround, or it decides to unfuck itself. So yesterday Atari had posted this thing. Bet you didn't know all 26 crazy things about Atari only hardcore gamers know. And I responded with, bet you didn't either. Because I have to continue to be a prick. That's my lot in life, especially the people who are riding on the coattails of a legacy that means something to me. Well, fucking it up in the process. But either way, I figured we'd come into this little quiz, take it ourselves, and see how much we did and we didn't know about Atari. I just know something weird. Look at the alligators here in Pitfall. What port is that? I don't think I've ever seen that before. The alligator. Look at his tail's even curling up around here. That's pretty cool. What port is that? Tell me down below. That's interesting. I want to see that port. But either way, let's take this quiz and see how well we do. 26, believe. Oh, this isn't a quiz. Oh, this is one of those list articles. All right, you know what? Fuck it. We can still do it. We can still do it. Believe it or not, it was huge to have different looking screens. 100% correct. Atari was more of an arcade port style console, given the time period. And it blew us away. Games that could be beat. That was a huge thing back in the day. 25. Every game was made by one person. Yeah, we knew that, right? For the most part, I mean, I'm sure they would intermingle and cross-contaminate, but for the most part, look at Howard Scott over here, not knowing what his fate's going to be here in a couple of years. Poor bastard. Indirect birth of Activision. Yeah, we all know that, right? We all know that. Atari wasn't giving their developers the respect and recognition they needed. They were told they were no different than a janitor as far as an employee status. A couple of guys kicked off, went and formed Activision, became the first and one of the greatest third-party developers. First time. It's hard to find an Activision game on the Atari that isn't amazing. Here we go. 2 of the worst games ever. Atari screwed up with Pac-Man and E.T. Guys, come on. Can we get past this already? Pac-Man plays well, it just looks and sounds different. It was more disappointing than anything. A lot of us didn't care. We got to play Pac-Man at home, and we were fucking happy with it. As far as E.T. is concerned, the guy had 6 weeks, and he went way out of Atari, the consoles itself's comfort zone. He pushed the limits to that goddamn console. And honestly, pits are a pain in the ass, and the FBI guys are a little too rapey for my liking. Aside from that, it's a game with a goal, an ending, an intro screen with music that still plays well as long as you can figure it out. Read fucking manuals, stupid people. The Secret of Atari's Name. Yeah, there was a game called Go. I'm guessing that's Go. I've never played it. And you would scream Atari in place of, say, like check on chess. Just when you were about to attack your opponent. I don't know how you'd move your pieces and say it, but you would say Atari. And, yeah, it says right there. Means something similar to check. There you go. Yeah, we knew that. Best-selling Christmas gift. Depends on what year we're talking about, though. Let's see. What are they saying? Though the release is 77, it took a while for the... Yeah, that's right. It took a while for the VCS, the Atari Video Computer System, take off. It wasn't until, what, 79, 80, where are those 2 words I'm looking for? Here it is. Space Invaders came out on the Atari 2600. That was probably the greatest thing that they ever did for themselves. Porting Space Invaders was like the killer app for the Atari. And you couldn't keep Atari on the fucking shelves at that point. Cool. Creepy games that weren't for kids. We all know about Atari porn games. And of course, the couple of horror ones from Wizard Video. We know all about that. National Toy Hall of Fame. Let's see. What are they saying here? Recognition. Okay, so in 2007, it ended up in the National Toy Hall of Fame because of its longevity. Very cool. The Atari Entertainment System. We should all know this by now, too. Atari was asked by Nintendo to front the doings of the Nintendo Entertainment System here in the North Americas. and Atari just kept stalling and stalling while developing their own stuff. It was rumored that they were going to bamboozle Nintendo to begin with. They saw that Nintendo could be a rising force, and that they were agreeing to certain things. And then there was a deal with Donkey Kong and Coleco. I made a whole video. A couple other people made whole videos. Just search it out. Atari, Nintendo, Entertainment System, whatever. It's an interesting story that I hadn't known up until recent years. So it's pretty cool. Bill Gates got fired. This I don't think I know. Did it have something to do with BASIC? I'm pretty sure it might. Yeah, okay. Bill Gates was hired to program BASIC onto the Atari computers. He kept missing deadlines, so they kicked him out. All right, yeah. It's interesting that both Bill Gates and Steve Jobs worked for Atari at some point in history. It goes to show the power Atari had. I mean, I know it was Silicon Valley and people were bouncing around for the next latest and greatest, but it does. It shows the power Atari genuinely had. The reason the Atari has wood paneling. Class. Come on, it's the 70s, yo. What are they saying? The Atari designs resemble home stereo. Yeah, it's made to fit in with the rest of the electronics of the age. That's a no-brainer. They still do that to this day, you know. The secrets of the Atari logo. So there's a couple of camps on this before I even read it. Some people think it's the Fuji logo. Some people think it's just the A for Atari. And some people think it has to do with Pong. Let's see what these fucks have to say. Okay, A for Atari with a question mark. Was it the Fuji? No, Mount Fuji. Actually, Atari's logo is a reference to Pong. Okay, so they go on the Pong route. The center divides the two paddles, which are swooping in to catch the ball. Okay, so I didn't know that part of the whole Pong thing. I just knew people thought this had something to do with Pong. Chuck E. Cheese I find it funny that they're putting Nolan Bushnell here in front of Pizza Time Theater by talking about Chuck E. Cheese. Okay, so for those of you who may not know, if you know, Nolan Bushnell, after he left Atari, went off to form Chuck E. Cheese and other parts of the country, Pizza Time Theater. It was exactly the same thing. It was an arcade that was family friendly that had pizza. Yeah, there we go. Steve Jobs, game designer. He was not a game designer though. If I'm recalling correctly, and again, you can always correct me down below, he was more of a think man. And he had Steve Wozniak. Is that the guy's name? Let's see. Yeah, Wozniak actually developed the Breakout game. First game was Speech. That I didn't know. First game was Speech. I don't know if that's true, but that's interesting. Right. Number 11. First multi-game console. Nope. I'm saying no. I don't care what this says. You can read it and tell me and quote, oh, well, that's what they were actually talking about. Nope. Moving on. Number 10. Cartridges are king. Key to Atari's success was the vast variety of games it offered. Okay, so now we're getting into the filler stuff. You could buy multiple games for the system, which coincides with this. All right, now let's go back to this, because I know a lot of people are going to be like, what, huh? There were a number of consoles. I mean, technically, you'd say the Odyssey's little cards were cartridges, even though they didn't have any memory or logic on them. They just rerouted pins, but what was it? Fairchild came out before the Atari 2600, and there was that, RCA Studio 2? That had cartridges, so no. Nope. First multiplayer console. Nope. Fairchild Channel F had 2 controllers. First console with multiple controllers. No, that's not true either. Fairchild Channel F. First arcade ports. Okay, that yes. Yar's Revenge was the game made out of spite. Yeah, we kind of know that. Okay, so when Activision formed and those guys left, Ray Kazar was a little aggravated. And I don't know how true the whole Yar's Revenge part of that is. That sounds right. But even if it was or wasn't, it's still interesting that he called that, because we all know that Yar is really just Ray backwards for Ray Kazar. That we do know. Whether it was a revenge act towards Activision, I don't know. Let me know down in the comments below. Maybe I'm just not that attuned to my Atari knowledge. Atari was never patented. I guess not. I'll go with it. The Great Crash of '83. Let me guess, E.T. and Pac-Man. There we go. Yeah, right here. E.T. the video game was a massive flop. Yeah. No, I don't think... We have a whole video on that. Moving on. Atari's biggest competitor was owned by Atari. That's true. They decided to make games for other companies. And whatever profits were made was straight to Atari. Let's see. Pong and Asteroids are big hits. To get around that, Key Games. There we go. Yeah. They made almost clones of their own stuff. It's very bizarre how business worked back then. And they sold them to companies that wanted to get into video games without having to actually get into video games. And all the money went straight to Atari. Steven Spielberg personally picked the designer of E.T. He did that before, though. He asked for the best designer. Yar's Revenge was the hot ticket, and he did Raiders of the Lost Ark, which in turn gave him the job for E.T. So, and the Lost Treasures of Sword Quest. Actually, the Angry Video Game Nerd has an amazing video about that. Just look up AVGN Sword Quest, and you'll find it. But to make a long story short, each one of the cartridges was part of a contest, and you could win like actual prizes, like gems encrusted on gold goblets and swords and crowns and all kinds of just crazy shit. And yeah, because of the crash, it kind of stopped, and there's a fourth game that never happened, Airworld. And yeah, that's really all there is to it. And some of the prizes didn't get into the hands of the gamers, and they wanted to know where it was. So if you want to know more about that, AVGN has a great video. So okay, there we go. 26 things that we bet you didn't know about Atari. There's a couple that stumped me. I may have gotten a thing or two wrong. Let me know down in the comments below. But either way, I hope this was at least fun. I know it was long. I know it took forever to get through. Hopefully I can edit it down to a reasonable time. So guys, hope you have a great weekend. Really, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And guys, go ahead and leave feedback. Thumbs up, thumbs down. All feedback to the Creep is positive. And until next time, take care, creep it real, and bye-bye.